Before trading Manhattan for Marfa, Texas, Max Kabat led a high-powered brand strategy firm working for global brands like Warby Parker and Virgin. His wife, an award-winning filmmaker and photojournalist, her name Massey Crow, had built a career telling powerful stories for outlets like the New York Times and the Atlantic. And in 2019, they must have been smoking something or drinking something because they left all that behind and went to West Texas, buying the 100-year-old Big Ben Sentinel and launching the Sentinel, a cafe, bar, and event space designed to fund and fuel local journalism. Max, we had you on the show exactly 4 years ago.
Oh, cool.
And welcome back. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mike. It's been a while. Thanks for having me back.
I hope you didn't mind the opening because, it reminds me of when I told my wife we were taking over E&P. She said, "What are you drinking? You guys left Manhattan and went to a beautiful spot in the world, Big Bend, right?"
Yeah. So Big Bend region is out here in far west Texas. We're on the border. We're about 180 miles southeast of El Paso. So the landmass of the Big Bend is larger than the size of the state of Maryland or the country of Denmark. Pretty uninhabited, but tourism sort of rules the day. It's a really great spot to get out and disappear and think and enjoy.
Well, who knew that the Big Bend Sentinel would be a thriving, community-powered media model that's turning lattes into headlines?
Yeah.
Coming up, Max is going to join us to share what's working, what's next, and why this bold experiment just may be another great solution for local news. Stick around.
This episode of E&P Reports is exclusively sponsored by Blocks Digital, formerly Town News. Even though the name has changed, their commitment to the media industry is as strong as ever. Blocks Digital is now even better positioned to deliver integrated solutions like content management, audience development, advertising revenue, video management, and more. Join the over 2,000 news publishers worldwide that power their ongoing digital transformation with Blocks Digital, serving over 141 million monthly users who view over 6.5 billion pages of content each year. You can trust Blocks Digital to empower you, to connect you at scale with the community you need to reach. Blocks Digital, formerly Town News, now reimagined to help meet the news publishing challenges of tomorrow and beyond. Learn more at blocksdigital.com.
All right, Max, welcome back. In a recent interview we picked up, and that's why I reached out to you to get back on the show, you mentioned that the Sentinel, which is that bar meeting space, and you house the newspaper, the Big Ben Sentinel, now generates more revenue than the newspaper itself. Could you elaborate on how this diversification has impacted the sustainability of the Big Ben Sentinel?
Sure. I think we took over the paper in 2019, July 4th of 2019. We simultaneously opened our doors to the paper, the doors to the Sentinel, and published our first papers. And coming in, we just sort of made the agreement or dealt with the realities of the situation that if we didn't change anything about the model we inherited, it would be sort of a slow roll towards a slow demise towards the end of what was. So we needed to diversify revenue streams immediately. And the reason why we said yes was because diversified revenue streams were sort of at the heart of us trying to evolve and continue to thrive instead of just sort of slowly demise. There's this march towards a demise, as I was saying. So the cafe opened. The concept was sort of mixed use retail. It's nothing revolutionary. It was just sort of evolutionary. I think because of our past experience and our past lives, we knew that leaning into a different idea or a way of making money, dealing with the realization that local news, memberships, advertising revenue, subscriptions, advertising revenue, those two things, you can spin them up and say them in different ways, membership, subscriptions, whatever it is,
Right.
advertising, advertorials. It's all the same thing. It's just two buckets. We need to add more buckets to make the thing sort of be bigger, badder, stronger, better. So we sort of trade on this concept of community. That's what we thought journalism was always in the business of. It just so happened it was local journalism and trading on a physical paper or a digital manifestation on your phone or on a website. And so we just brought people together instead of yelling at each other on the bottom of an article or on Facebook. What would happen if we actually brought them together? Might that be a revolutionary idea that sort of local journalism could own? So that's what we did.
And obviously increasing community engagement. Do you think this model of combining journalism and hospitality and retail is replicable? And could you see other small towns doing this? Have people called you?
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, and yes, and yes. I mean, I think,
Okay.
when we started 6 years ago, we were looked at as those crazy folks out in far West Texas trying to do something different, and it was only bespoke for that market. 6 years later, over 6 years later, I think people are like, well, maybe there is something to that. So yeah, I've been doing some consulting for some community foundations and others, thinking about how to create sustainable journalism in different markets. And I do think it's replicable. I think that there's a lot to take from what we've learned. This exact model is bespoke to the area that we're in. We were very transparent. Sorry, very not transparent. We were very realistic about what the economy here is. It's tourism, as I said in your opening. And so we needed to sort of tap into that community, tap into that dollar in a way that the newspaper hadn't previously. So what we did was we saw an opportunity in the market like any business does usually, right? There's an opportunity in the market. Is there a way that you can authentically play in that market, authentically fill that need that exists? And what do you do? How do you do something that's right for the business that you own and right for the people that you're serving? And so for us, that was sort of opening a third space. There was no third space in this town that was for tourists and locals alike.
Let me ask you this. Your background is in brand strategy. And
Yeah.
now you're into brand storytelling. What is this good dog? Are you still doing that? And how have
Yeah,
you
yeah.
applied storytelling principles to enhance the newspaper's identity and reader loyalty? Is all of this commingled and working together?
I think stories are as old as time. We're all sort of trading in stories, right? Since the days of the Bible or pictographs. So I don't know. I think that a strategist sort of gets put into a box. But I think when you tell somebody that you tell stories and they're multifaceted, they're experiential stories, people sort of maybe lean in a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, it's all about understanding consumer need and what's authentic to you as a business, what's happening in culture, and what is sort of the competitor set doing. That's what we do as Good Dog. We do something called the good idea. We believe that every business has one. We help you articulate it, then pull it through your business. So for us, that was, yeah.
Is
Go
that a
ahead.
local strategy? Are you working with local businesses with that, or are
Mhm.
you doing this globally and just
Yes,
happen to be based in Marfa with
yes.
Good Dog?
Yeah, so Good Dog's a business that Lisa, my business partner, and I have been working on for almost 15 years together. She was my boss at a larger agency in New York, and we spun out about 10 years ago. So that's been going on for forever. We have clients from Vancouver to Boston to Austin and everything in between. And those businesses are more about like, call it mid-market 25 to 350, $500 million run rate businesses a year, sort of helping them work through growth plateaus as they scale. I learned a lot from doing that and applied some of those principles to like what we're doing here.
All right, so let's talk about culture and staffing. You just mentioned you have a small pool to pull from. How do you cultivate a team culture that aligns with your mission across all the facets of your business, from making a good cup of coffee to covering a local event or telling that story?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think we just going back to my what I've been doing as a consultant, you just sort of pick up things that people do really well throughout your travels. And I think I've tried to apply those principles to to having my own business with my wife. I think that's consciously or subconsciously, that's just sort of like what I've done. I can remember there's one person in particular, his name is Kevin Rutherford. He helped Noon, which is a consumer packaged goods business. We never worked together, but I really value Kevin. And I remember having a conversation with him and an investor person talking about building culture, talking about building team, talking about building leadership. Kevin's been a CEO of a company that exited to Nestle, I believe. And so, I don't consider myself a leadership guru, but I like to learn and listen and pay attention. And I think we applied a lot of those understandings, as I was saying, to what we've done. And we've just built a team that believes in not just the idea, but supporting each other and feels that people are doing different things. They're cooking, they're cleaning, they're baristaing, they're writing articles, but they're running events, but everybody's sort of rowing in the same boat together, sort of creating the flywheel, as they say, and helping each other do this thing that we've built.
Peter Drucker was quoted as, people misquote him. I think people think Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. It's actually, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it, or I think was the right. How do you measure your success beyond the bottom line? How do you assess when you go to bed at night that it's that all the gears are clicking and you made the right decision moving out to West Texas?
I mean, I don't know anybody that runs a business that doesn't question themselves if they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing on a daily basis. But I think that we're making the right decisions based upon our ideals, based upon consumer feedback in the cafe and in the paper, in the community. We're trying to do the best we can for the right reasons for the people that we're serving, and our employees. And this isn't the Max and Macy show. By any stretch of the means. This is a community-wide effort. And I think the success of our endeavor is predicated on the fact that people have really leaned into what we're doing as customers and as employees, and everybody sort of believes in the thing.
For those that are tripping across this broadcast on Spotify or whatever podcast platform you prefer, there's a little alliteration. Max is wearing a hat that says "Print is not dead." ... Why are you wearing a hat, Matt, that says "Print is not dead"?
Yeah. When you're a strategist, there's a saying in strategy that if you're for everybody, you're for nobody. And you sort of have to pick a target consumer to right size your story for. We're for everybody that comes out here, but I think the truth of the matter is we're for everybody that's of a place and its people. But the truth of the matter is not everybody wants to pay for journalism. People think that the journalism is free. I think the last 25 plus years has taught us that. That's what culture has showed us. And so people might not want to pay $50, $60 for a subscription or $1 for a paper, but they'll gladly pay for a hat that sort of they feel like virtue signals their values. And so we gave people that opportunity. And I'll tell you that we sell a fair amount of merchandise that is based upon journalism being alive, or print is not dead. And that helps pay the bills of
that hat is for sale in your store.
Yes.
What other hats do you have?
Yeah, we have a beautiful poster done by a really awesome music poster artist named Mishka Westel, who's based in Austin, and she made us a really beautiful poster that's about the flora and fauna of West Texas. Wow. And it says on the bottom, it says "Journalism is alive," and we've turned that into some other kinds of elements. But those hang around, like people send us posters hanging in their office all across the country. It's pretty cool.
Would you be willing to share some of those images with me so I can pop them on the landing page?
100%.
Please, those that are on Spotify or Apple or iHeart, come to editorandpublisher.com/vodcasts and take a look at some of these great items. Final question, if I may, Max. I know you're busy with the million hats you're wearing. What advice do you give to other entrepreneurs that may be in stalled, or in neutral. What advice would you offer to other local news entrepreneurs seeking to innovate and sustain their operations in today's wacky media landscape, sir?
Yeah, I would say don't do it alone. I would say that if you're really good at one thing, go find a partner that's good at other things. We've sort of taken this whole thing on by ourselves. I don't necessarily recommend doing that. Diversified revenue streams are hard to create, but if you have the right people, there's a lot of people that believe in the entity of community journalism and its importance, and understand sort of the symbiotic relationship to the health of local journalism and the health of a community. And so don't sort of sit in your office and think, woe is me. Think creatively, talk to people, and think about what your community needs and how you might actually solve that with something else besides the same old.
Max Kabat, on his LinkedIn profile, he says, brand fixer at Good Dog and local journalism builder at Big Bend Sentinel. Owner of the Sentinel, Marfa's Living Room is how you call it. That's how you label it, Martha's Living Room, and publisher of the West Texan Media Group. Max, if someone wants to reach out to you for advice how they could try to replicate this, do you have an easy email address?
Yeah, Max at thesentinelmarfa.com. Max, M-A-X, at thesentinelmarfa.com. I'm happy to talk to folks. We're doing a bunch of consulting projects on how to do this locally and talking to folks even internationally. So happy to share and help as I can.
I promised you 4 years ago on this very broadcast that I was going to bring my wife out to visit you. We have yet to make Big Bend part of our journeys, but we will someday, sir. And I'll look forward to having a cup of coffee in the Sentinel.
We look forward to it, Mike. Thanks so much for reaching back out, and congrats on the last 4 years of success. I hope it's another 4 years. Let it not be another 4 years until we chat again.